thank you to Cody for their generous donation on Patreon.
Ah, there it is. There it is. We were happy to find that the park was actually holding a flash sale for the tickets, and we both managed to get in half price. Hey, how about that shit, eh? Or would be happy about it, but a lot of people. Jun is moping around. How could you have not known that you need to buy tickets to go on the rides? I thought you only had to pay the entrance and that's it. So in the end, he only ended up saving enough money to pay for the entrance and none to actually go on any of the rides. Aww. And because I don't tend to walk with money to begin with, all the extra money I brought was used to buy the milkshakes. So between the two of us, considering how much money we saved in the entrance and the leftover money Jun still had for the cafe, we were able to buy 8 tickets. 7 of those were bought by me. Alright, well, this means we can go on 4 rides together. Here, take these 3 tickets. I hand him my extra tickets so that we have an equal number. No, I can't accept it. You're the one that bought. Why the hell would I use these if you're not going with me on the rides, dumbass? Just take the damn tickets. Ah, yeah. It seems that Jun responds well to tough love. I'll make sure to remember that. Honestly, if you had done more proper research beforehand, we would have been going on a lot more rides. Why are you criticizing me about it? If it weren't for the flash sale, you'd have probably been able to buy 4 tickets anyway. And you'd have been able to buy 0. See how well that would have worked out? He's moping around again. Maybe I should dial back on the tough love a little bit. Alright, I guess this means we have to pick and choose what rides we go on. If we're excluding the runs you don't like, it doesn't really leave us with many choices. And because the carnival game stalls only accept money instead of tickets, can't go on those. Rutherford-san, how about you decide what rides we go on? Me? Why me? Well, Jun starts fidgeting in his spot, looking away from me for a while. I feel bad about not bringing extra money and then having you buy tickets for me, so I want you to at least choose the ones you'd have the most fun on. Oh, is that so? Does that mean we can go on a roller coaster? Jun immediately freezes up on the mention of it. Sure, if you want to. You're a terrible liar. Jun said he didn't really like the thrill rides, so I suppose we should stick to the tamer ones. I don't remember them having all that many in the first place, so we don't really have many choices to choose from. I'll just make sure to suggest ones that he can enjoy, and that I can stand being on. So we're going to go with the bumper cars first. Well, I think one of the ones we could choose, this is probably the most exciting one. I highly doubt anyone would classify this as an exciting ride, but at least it's not a boring one. Hey, Jun, how about we go on the bumper cars? I remember you mentioning you want to go on that ride. His ears perked up at my suggestion. Yeah, I did. But are you sure you'd be okay with it? Yeah, why wouldn't I be, you idiot? Why are you fucking being so baka? Why you gotta be mean? It's probably the most exciting ride we could go on without freaking you out. Why are you really going in your way to avoid the ones because of me? Oh, come on. That's what he took out of what I just said? He'd be so annoying at times. Yeah, I am, and it wouldn't be as much fun if I were to go on a ride with you. What? Yes, yeah, I am. It wouldn't be much fun if I were to go on a ride with you and I had to hold your hand while you freak out, would it? I guess you're right. You guess I'm right? Last time you clung to my arm while freaking out, I nearly had to amputate my arm. Now you're just exaggerating. There was no blood flow. Anyway, should we go? He just totally ignored what I said, didn't he? Aw, bumper cars. It doesn't take much walking around to reach the line for the bumper cars. Wow, line looks pretty long right now. How long do you think it's gonna take? A while. You didn't even bother to trying to think of it, did you? Neither did you, so don't try to force this on me. Jun smiles, taking a step to join in the waiting line. Well, nothing we can do but wait, I suppose. Is it always like this in amusement parks? Have you really never gone to an amusement park before? Not ever? Jun shakes his head sideways in negative, putting his arms... putting his arms... putting his arms behind his back and rocking his body back and forth at a slow, steady... behind his back and rocking his body back and forth at a slow, steady pace. My parents always told me they were too busy to take me, even when it was obvious they weren't. When I was a kid, I'd really get upset about it, but after I started growing up, they began to notice the look on... I began to notice the look on their face every time they had to refuse me. They weren't doing it because they were busy. They did it because they didn't have the money. Damn, that's heartbreaking. I feel a sudden need to buy him something nice. Well, to answer your question, the bigger parks tend to have bigger lines since they also are a lot more popular. This isn't the biggest park in the prefecture, but it's the closest to where we live. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know there were other parks. Really? How come? Even if you were living away until a while back, your family is still from this town, aren't they? Yeah, they actually still live in my childhood home. It's just that I have to be transferred to a school on the other side of the country when I was 12. It was actually a boarding school. I said that all kinds of wrong. He had to be transferred to a boarding school when he was 12. And it was boring. Oh, you mean a music academy like the one you're trying to get into next year? Something like that, yeah. The line moves 16 people at a time. It's actually going much faster than I thought, changing players every 8 minutes. After the line moves once, we're already in place to join the next round. Do we get to go on the same car? You can fit 2 people into it, but then one of us doesn't get to drive. Oh, I don't mind driving. I think I'll have more fun if I'm just riding along with you, Rutherford Jun. If you're okay with it, of course. Why did he get flustered at the last line is beyond... Why he got flustered at the last line is beyond me. Sure, I don't mind. Yay! Jun begins jumping around as if he were commemorating a major victory at a tournament of some sorts. Honestly, talk about a weird thing to be excited about. It really amazes me how excited you can get over going on a simple park ride with me. It's just something I've never been it's just that I've never been to an amusement park before, and now I'm getting to go with a friend, and we're going to play on the same ride together. I can't help getting excited. Seeing how genuine and unrestrained his joy is brings a smile to my face. I want to make him smile and laugh like this a lot more. I should probably come up with another place to take him after today. No matter how much money I end up spending, it'll be worth it. Look, the line's moving. It's our turn now. The gates open and all the people rush to get a car. Since Jun and I were sharing one, the 16th person is allowed on the tracks. We end up getting a bright red car with yellow accents. So, okay. It was right in the middle of all the other cars. I didn't want to get this one, but Jun dragged me to it. Honestly, I think this makes us easy targets. We were probably going to get rammed to death. You sure you wanted this one? Yeah, I really like the red color on it. Why do you ask? No reason. Alright, Rutherford, buckle up and just try to avoid getting run off the track. Of course, something like this is literally impossible, but it sure feels like it could happen considering the fact that we're sitting ducks here. The buzzer rings, and with that, our cars come to life. A small energy display lighting up next to the steering wheel to signal that it's now on. Oh, that's really bright! Really? The light display is the thing you're impressed by? Wah! Just as I predicted, before we barely even managed to move a few inches, we're already getting bumped by 2 different cars. Run away, Rutherford son, run away! I'm trying. They're pinching us between them. After getting banged 6 or 7 times, I managed to slip away from the 2 cars attempting to turn us into scrap metal, into a scrap metal sandwich with tiger and dog filling. Christ. Oh no, I didn't rate it! Now! Seeing the 2 cars then bump into each other is one of the most satisfying things I've witnessed all week. And then when I turned around and hit them both before they could separate, that was the most satisfying thing I've done all week. Rutherford, son, nice one! Jun giggles next to me, completely filled with joy. It's honestly very rewarding to see him this excited. I thought he couldn't get more excited than his usual self, but I was wrong, and this is another level. In less than a minute, the entire track has already turned into a complete and total chaos. I can barely process everything that's going on at the same time. Keeping an eye out to try to avoid possible bangers is quickly sapping my concentration. Then I also have to try to take the offensive. Doesn't help that Jun is, watch out for that guy! Oh, the other guy's coming up! What did you see that other guy? I'm torn between continuing to drive and conk him on the head to try to stop being a distraction. I eventually decide that violence is wrong, even if totally justified. I just try to leave Jun screaming to the back of my mind and focus on the driving. Oh my god, that guy came so close to hitting us! He does not make it easy. I barely managed to avoid a car that's spending right at our back. What? The satisfaction of watching that guy miss us and hit a wall is priceless. Still, it bugs me that I've been concentrating so much on dodging I've barely hit anyone this whole time. I'm pretty sure at least half of our time has already passed. Hit that guy! Hit that guy! Hit that guy! And my annoying co-pilot is constantly yelling out instructions that tell me to go for it. Should I just go all out? He told us to hit the guy. He told us to hit the guy. So we hit the guy. Boom. Win or loss doesn't matter. I'll take the same approach to when I take the tennis. Always take the offensive. I'm already getting bored of just dodging all the time. I want to hit stuff. Wow, Rutherford, son, you could have dodged that one. And even though he was the one calling for it just a while ago, Jun completely changes his tune as soon as we start to get hit. I just relegate it to the back of my mind since I'm having way too much fun hitting other people. I just pinned the guy against a wall and the other cars started pummeling too. Oh man, he looks really pissed. This is awesome. Rutherford's on the other cars are hitting us to dodge! I guess I might be letting my bloodlust run a little too rampant, and the last 2 minutes we went from untouchable to the track's biggest target. I don't care, hitting stuff is too much fun. I probably should never try driving an actual car. Wah! We get bumped by 2 cars at the same time, both hitting us on my side. The shock of the collision makes our car suddenly move to the side, and as a coincidence, I hit the door hard. If it wasn't enough, Jun also falls to the side, his head hitting my arm, squishing me between a door and a tiger place. Ow! A yelp as a sharp pain emanates from my elbow from when it hits the door. Wow, sorry. Oh great, now I have to calm down a tiger as he freaks out and try to survive in the track after you've suddenly become the easiest target in the game. In the end, despite having quite a few enjoyable minutes just going full sadist and bringing people to pain, our earlier run-in with the physical principle that says objects in movement tend to stay in movement ended up leaving us as sitting ducks. So, of course, we were completely destroyed by the other cars. Oddly enough, I still had a blast. Although, considering how much Jun was complaining about us getting hit, I thought for sure he'd be annoyed when the ride ended. This was awesome! Instead, he was like this. The way you just completely ran that guy into the wall and didn't let him move was amazing! He was just, and you were like, zoom, and you were like, splat against the wall! Is it even Japanese anymore? Well, I'm glad you had fun at least. I was afraid you'd be mad at me for not playing how you wanted me to. Nah, I had a blast. Thank you for driving for me. I'm sure I had more fun than I could have if I were the one driving. He's still really excited about the whole thing. I guess coming to the park was really worth it after all. Although I'm a little bit worried at just how excited he got in that basic ride. He couldn't get more electric than this, could he? I shudder at the thought. Anyway, I need to come up with another ride for us to go on. Let's see. Alright, we have 3 left. The other one he mentioned that he wanted to go on was the Carousel. So we go in that. Well, that's not my favorite ride in the world, but I have to admit that the Carousel is a classic. Plus, considering how much Jun has been eyeing it up since we came in, I think it's safe to say he wants to go there. How about the Carousel? Ooh, before I'm even done with my sentence, his face completely lights up, beaming in excitement. Really? I've always wanted to go on a carousel. Bingo. I knew he was looking a bit too keen to go on it. Sure, anything you want, Jun. We're here for you first, after all. Jun scratches his cheek, hiding his embarrassment. I guess that's true. Sorry if he ended up dragging you away to someplace you didn't really want to go. Nah, don't worry about it. It's an amusement park. Of course I'm gonna have fun here. Plus, I have to admit, it's been years since I've last been to an amusement park. Jun laughs, hopping excitedly in place. That's how pumped he is. If I didn't know better, I could confuse him for a bunny. Saya would kill me if she heard my speciesist remark. Despite my own belief that the carousel is a boring, lame ride, there is still a huge line to get in. It's probably one of the biggest lines on the park. I'm completely stumped. Sure, I can get how kids might like it. It's one of the few rides they're actually allowed to get into. But what's with all these adults that clearly aren't accompanying any children? Just for the record, that doesn't apply to me. I'm with Jun. Certainly he counts as a kid. Aww, I think. Either way, the carousel goes around in circles very slowly, with the toys bobbing up and down whilst carnival music plays in the background. Just watching it spin is nearly putting me to sleep. The thing is so slow that it's making me drowsy. Even as a kid, I wasn't much of a fan of carousels. Now that I'm 18, I'm even less of a fan. But if Jun wants to go on it, then I'll bite back my dislike of it, and I'll go without complaint. The things I'll do for this guy. I don't even understand why I'm as fond of him as I am. Regardless, by the time we're next in line, I'm a good half of an hour has already passed. At least. Yay, it's finally our turn! Jun is incredibly giddy now that our turn has finally arrived. His feet were tapping on the floor the whole time we were waiting and kept drumming the rails for the waiting line. Honestly, how can you get so excited about a carousel? I mean, it's a carousel! They separate our wave into two different lines, one for people who'd be going alone and another that'd be sharing a horse. I quickly noticed that Jun and I are the only pair that isn't constituted either a parent and a child or boyfriend and girlfriend. I started to feel a little bit self-conscious over it. Jun somehow manages to pick up on my discomfort. Is everything alright? Does your stomach hurt or anything? Of course he can't tell why I'm uncomfortable. I'll still give him props for at least figuring out that I'm not 100%. No, it's fine. I'm just feeling a bit weird about going on a carousel. I'm not going to tell him exactly what is making me feel weird, but there's enough truth mixed up in it for me to convince him. Really? Why? There's a bunch of people at our age going on it. I managed to bite my tongue before I say, yeah, but they're all couples. Somehow I don't think making Jun feel self-conscious too is the best way to handle it. I'll just pretend there's nothing to bother me and I'll allow him to have his fun. Plus, if he doesn't realize that how people might see us if we go together, then it just means that he's that innocent, and honestly, that's pretty adorable coming from a guy his age. Although I might be the only person who thinks, though, so... Finally, our group is called to go on the toy. We quickly reach one of the horses, a pink one, just my luck, and swiftly mount it. And by swiftly, I mean that Jun is so accident-prone that it takes him 3 tries to finally mount the damn thing without falling down one of the sides, the back. As it turns out, we're the last people to get down on our seats, and everyone else had to wait for Jun to manage to sit down. In the end, Jun only manages to stabilize himself by wrapping his arms tightly around my waist and basically hugging me. His cheek is also pressing against my back, so the awkwardness factor is jumping through the roof here. You comfortable? I try stuttering something to make him now that I'm not bothered, which to a normal person would only tell them I'm bothered. Still, despite how perceptive he's shown himself to be during the way before this, Jun doesn't manage to catch on to it. Yeah, you're really soft and fluffy, Rutherford, son. And also kind of warm, too. Shit. I have to put a hand in front of my face to cover up the fact that I'm blushing. Luckily, no one is close enough to us to be able to tell what the hell is going on, and to Jun, it only looks like I'm wiping my face. It's kind of hot outside today anyway, so if you ask me, well, there'd be a legitimate excuse, at least. Suddenly, the horse lifts up from the ground, and just like that, the carousel starts moving. Wow! Jun is left completely in awe. I can feel his face rubbing against my back every single time he turns it to look another way, which, despite the fact that the looking left that looking left only allows him to look at other people in the carousel still happens pretty often. It almost feels like someone is nuzzling my back, and as soon as that thought crosses my mind, I blush even more. Must think happy thoughts. Look, Rutherford and Jun, you can almost see all the rides from here. Oh, yeah, that's right. The carousel's right in the middle of the park, so you can see a lot. I wouldn't go as far to say almost all, since this is a pretty big park after all, but there is some merit to what he said. Honestly, I think it would be more interesting if it was nighttime, then you'd get to see all the park lights. Sounds like it would be pretty beautiful. I have to admit, even though the carousel is to me one of the dullest rides in existence, Jun's cheer and constant excitement managed to make even this fun. I guess some people are just naturally fun to hang out with. And now I'm suddenly worrying whether or not if he has as much fun being around me as I do with him. Either way, there isn't much for me to say about the carousel. I can't exactly see Jun's face. I can't, however, hear him. Damn, this is pretty cool. I almost feel like I'm riding a real horse. Hopefully he means the ones that can walk on four legs and are used to racing, not the ones that can't talk and... no, my mind is taking this somewhere horrible. Honestly, the biggest upside to me being able to feel the wind on my face. And, well, I have to admit that it feels pretty comfortable having Jun hugging my waist. God, why is my face so red right now? Even though I'm actually having fun, I also can't wait for the ride to end. Having Jun so close to me is making my heart race like mad. I feel like I could just drop dead from a heart attack any second. Well, maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but my face feels so damn hot right now. In the meantime, even the actual couples that are on the ride with us don't seem to be snuggling up as close to each other as Jun is to me. Damn, now I feel even more self-conscious. I don't even know how that's possible. Eventually the ride comes to a stop and I'm all too happy. Wrong two! Happy to climb down from it. Man, this feels really awkward for me at least. Jun looks... This was amazing! Let's do it again! Incredibly excited. Honestly, this is one of those rare moments where I wish he had an off switch. My mind is swimming in awkwardness, and then that having someone so intense right next to me is making me feel overwhelmed. If I remember correctly, this is how I felt when I first met him. Funny how I ended up warming to him so quickly. And honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. But back to the matter at hand. Rutherford and Jun, can we ride it again? Please, please, please! Jun stares up at me whilst clinging to my shirt cuffs with what can only be described as puppy dog eyes, even though he is neither a puppy nor a dog. Saying no to this face feels like smothering a dog in its sleep. Jesus, with the visualization again, even though he's not a puppy. Sorry, Jun. I don't think that it'll all be that fun to go again. And plus, we only have a few tickets, so we should try to see other rides. I pray to any and all deities that might be out there that this manages to convince him otherwise. Honestly, 5 more minutes on that ride with him clinging that close to me, I swear my head would explode. Jun lets go of my shirt and looks down at the ground, kicking up some dirt. Alright. Jesus, why do I feel like I just did something awful, like murder his mother? All I did was say no. It's terrifying how much destructive power his face can have at times. I kind of feel like a father doting on his child. Oh, that's not a thought I want to be having either, especially when he's older than me. Fact that I constantly forget because honestly, no one would guess it based on our looks and attitudes. Although I can't forget it because you've mentioned it like 3 times in this one day. In fact, I have difficulty believing that Jun is not a junior high student at times. Well, what will we do now then? Do I still get to choose? Of course, you're still the one who bought most of the tickets. Alright then, let's see. What else can I choose from? Okay. Alright, the majority is saying tunnel, so we shall go with the tunnel. Wasn't there a water ride at this park? I think I remember going with Aki when the two of us were really small. Yeah, you'd get into a car with that would go through a track that was filled with water. Halfway through it, you'd go inside a tunnel. It's a pretty popular ride between couples, but really all sorts of people go on this one. Plus the cars are comfortable, the tunnel is very cool, and the feeling of water droplets splashing on your every now and then is really nice. I think I know a ride you might like to go on. Really? What is it? His excitement is adorable. It makes me want to fawn all over him. There's a water ride here at the park. You basically get inside a car and it goes through a track filled with water. It's pretty cool and relaxing. Jun blinks multiple times, his lips opening up in a smile.
That sounds like it could be fun.
Well, for a guy that mentioned a carousel as a fun ride, I'm sure almost anything would be fun.
You know where it is?
Not really, but we can always check a map.
What's the fun in checking a map?
What's the fun in getting lost?
Gah.
Swiftly, I cut down his free-spirited logic. This isn't the first time where Jun's approach has led us to getting lost somewhere, and I don't want to have that repeated again. I find a map near one of the many rest stops and look for directions to the ride I'm looking for. Oh, it's nearby. Come on, shouldn't take us long to get there. Yay! Even though he wanted to just walk around aimlessly looking for it, he still seems quite pleased that we found the ride. Yeah. It doesn't take us long to find our way to the line. The air around the ride is already much cooler due to the huge amount of water nearby.
Wow, it's so cool around here.
I have to say, today wasn't really a super hot day by any means, but this area of the park is at such a comfortable temperature. Oh, God. I guess this explains why the line is so huge for this one, though. If I had to guess, I'd say that there is easily over 50 people in line to go on this ride.
There's so many people. How long do you think it'll take for us to get in?
I'm not sure. It looks like it might be a while. The ride isn't exactly fast to begin with. Jun nods, looking downcast. Don't worry about it. Even if we stand in line for a while, it's still super comfortable because of the temperature.
I guess that's true.
Jun begins humming. While he's not particularly quiet about it, he still makes sure not to bother any other people in line. Seeing him humming is pretty rare. I guess something must have put him in a particularly good mood. Wait, I think I recognize this tune. Isn't this the song that he played at the cafe? I strain my ears to try to hear more details, and it definitely sounds to me like the song he played today. The one that he composed. It's true. I had some questions I wanted to ask him about the song, but I ended up being so absorbed by it at the time that I forgot. I tapped Jun on the shoulder to try to call his attention.
What is it, Rutherford?
The song you're humming, it's the same one you played earlier today, right?
Yep, that's right. I didn't think you'd recognize it.
So me knowing the song actually makes him happy. That's strange. How is that strange? Well, I really like the song after all. I actually had a few questions I wanted to ask you, if that's okay with you.
Sure, ask away.
Well, I was just wondering. I remember you mentioning that you wanted to be a composer and that you never really told me why. But you never really told me why. You just said that you gave up on being a pianist.
Oh, that. Back when I was a kid, I didn't really have many friends. Video games were my biggest friends other than the piano, and they'd just take me to other worlds where where I would be someone different than who I really am. Sounds really cheesy, doesn't it?
Not at all. Honestly, it's not much different from people who enjoy to read. Kei-kun is always saying that he likes books that take him away.
I guess, in the end, the music was always a big part of why I liked them. The way it could perfectly show you the character's feelings and emotions, the way it would touch the heart. I just decided that, since I couldn't be a pianist, that I wanted to be a composer and work with video games. I wanted other kids to be able to experience the same things that I did with games, and I wanted my songs to be a part of it.
Aw, that's really cute, actually.
Really? You don't think it's lame or anything like that?
Lame? Why do I think it's lame? No question mark. People hardly ever have super deep reasons for wanting to do something, so we just kind of do them.
Really? What's your reason for wanting to be a tennis player then?
That's this awkward conversation again. At this point, I don't mind answering this question, but people always respond same way when I do. My dad taught me tennis when I was little. It was his favorite sport, and he played competitively when he was in high school, although he stopped when he got into college.
It's kind of neat. My dad never really taught me anything that he liked.
Then Jun blinks multiple times as if he just realized something. He cocks his head to the side, confused.
Actually, come to think of it, I've never met your dad before. Is he away on a business trip like Shuichi-san's?
And here comes the awkward part. I sigh, rubbing the bridge of my nose. No. My dad died when I was a kid. 1 week after teaching me how to play tennis, and 1 month before Aki was born. Immediately, Jun froze. I could picture the cogs running in his head, trying to understand what I just told him. Honestly, I don't blame him. Not many people know about my father in the first place. Him dying and Aki being born were the reason we moved away from my hometown and into Saitama in the first place.
Dead? You mean...
He died in a car accident when I was 6. He had been overworking himself and taking too many shifts to save up money for when Aki was born. He was tired and didn't pay enough attention before crossing the street. He got hit by a car and... I really have to say it. Suddenly, the mood became super awkward. For a few seconds, all I can hear is the sound of what other people around us are chatting excitedly. Meanwhile, it's as if Jun and I had suddenly been covered by a shroud. The comfortable, cool air suddenly became much colder and uncomfortable.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I shouldn't have...
I put a hand on his shoulder, getting him to look up at me again. Listen to me. The stuff is in the past, okay? Sure, it sucks, and yeah, I do wish my dad were still here, but really, you don't have to apologize. You couldn't have known this, and this kind of stuff doesn't really bother me. And I'm not like Aki anyway. I at least got to meet my dad. He wasn't so lucky. It's why I've always made sure to take good care of him, so he'd have a male role model to look up to. Jun nods, looking down at his feet. Now I've done it. I've drawn the final nail of the coffin of what was up till now supposed to be a pleasant conversation. Sorry, maybe I should have changed the subject. Jun shakes his head sideways, a very conflicted expression on his face.
No, of course not. I was just surprised. I shouldn't have asked. I didn't know it was a sensitive subject. I give him a few taps on the back, trying to get his attention. Once he looks up, I make sure to give him a big smile. It's not a sensitive subject, and you didn't do anything wrong. We haven't known each other all that long, so it stands to reason that we wouldn't know each other all that well. And if we don't ask, we'll never really get to know anything about one another, isn't that right? I'm sure we all had bad experiences in our lives. That doesn't mean we should never talk about it. I guess that's true. I'm still sorry to have brought it up. I make an over-exaggerated waving gesture with my hand as if I were driving away imaginary smoke. Nonsense. I'm the one who's sorry for ruining the mood. What do you say? Can we continue to have fun, or will they let this little hiccup ruin the rest of our day for us? I guess so. Let's continue to have fun.
That's the spirit. Luckily, just as we finish the conversation, the next car arrives and it's finally our turn to board the ride.
Oh, cool. There's 4 seats. Want to share the 2 on the front with me?
Sure. No reason for each of us to go on a separate row anyway. Jun nods and we board the car.
Wow, these seats are pretty comfortable.
You'd hope so, considering it's almost 10 minutes sitting down.
True enough.
No, good to see he's still keeping his cheer. I was worried he'd be bummed out by my story.
Some water just splashed on me.
Well, this is a water ride after all. Despite how tense the mood had gotten before, we were able to enjoy the ride without further issues.
That was really nice. The cool air inside the tunnel was so relaxing.
Yeah, although I could have done with a little less water. You want some last water, huh? You gotta work hard for that last water.
Well, it was a water ride.
Didn't I say that to you just a few minutes ago? Well, 10 minutes ago, but yeah. I'm just glad the mood isn't weird anymore. Let's see, what should we do next?
Oh!
Wah! Jun literally yells out as I'm thinking of our next ride, completely catching me off guard and making me yelp.
Hey, Rutherford-san, you shouldn't be so loud in public. It'll make other people think you're weird.
You're the last person I want to hear that from.
What's that supposed to mean?
I How can someone lack so much self-awareness? I sigh, rubbing the bridge of my nose to soothe myself. Nothing. It means nothing. Anyway, why did you just suddenly yell out like that?
Oh, right. I have an idea.
An idea? What idea? Jun starts rummaging through his pocket and pulls out what looks like a piece of paper, shoving it in my face. Charam? What the fuck is that? Charam? Ignoring the weird sound effect that he just tried to make, I grabbed the piece of paper he extended to me and hold it a little further away from my eyes so I can see it better. Wait, this is a photo?
Yeah, look how pretty it is. It's actually a photo of the night view from the Ferris wheel.
Oh, we're gonna do this? Are we gonna do this? And this photo is supposed to mean something to me?
Well, it's just that we only have one ticket left each, and I suddenly remembered this. Actually, I wanted to go on the Ferris wheel from the beginning, but I guess I was having so much fun that I forgot until now.
Ferris wheel, huh? That certainly does sound like it could be fun. It's almost night too, so... Y'all remember when extracurricular activities did the same shit? It's a common thing, and it's an easy romance trope, and I like it. It's almost night too, so we could possibly get a similar view from it.
Wait, it is?
You didn't notice the sky getting darker?
Huh, it has?
Jun looks up at the sky.
What? It's true, the sun's already setting.
Yeah, it won't be long before the stars come out. Possibly just 20 minutes or so.
That's great then. We get to go on the Ferris wheel under the moon and stars? That's so cool.
Is it really that cool? Jun nods excitedly.
Yeah, it is. It's awesome.
If you say so. I don't have anything against Ferris wheels, but I've never really found them that interesting to begin with. Well, if you want to go, then I guess that's our next stop then. At least now I don't have to keep racking my brain looking for ideas of rides we can go on that would please him. So, double win.
Let's go get in line.
Without giving me much time to react, Jun starts tugging at my arm and dragging me away. What? Hey, come on, Jun. You don't even know where the line is.
It's alright, we'll certainly find our way.
We'll certainly find our way. I mean, it's a Ferris wheel. It's not hard to fucking find. Not this again. This would be the first time I've heard those words and ended up getting lost. Despite how a Ferris wheel is giant in nature, Jun still manages to find a way to get us lost at the park. It's back there. I see it in the back. It's back there. It's behind you.
I really thought we'd get there if we turned to the left on the intersection.
Are you still on that? It's been almost half an hour. Suck it up already. Gah. In the end, it took us quite a bit of time to find our way into the Ferris wheel waiting line. At this point, the sun has already set completely.
I really wish there were more stars in the sky tonight.
Just be glad it's not raining.
So I'm not allowed to complain just because maybe it could have been worse.
That's right.
So unfair.
He tries to glare at me, but his face is more comical than threatening. I can't help but find it amusing. Sorry, Jun, I'm trying to take you seriously, but I just can't. Good thing we're almost to the other end of the line.
Yeah, I was afraid the line was going to be bigger now that it's nighttime.
Well, it's certainly one of the toys with the most people lined up, that's for sure. Although I'm slightly concerned by the fact that almost all the people in line here are couples. Ferris wheel plus night view equals romantic. Now I'm starting to feel a little awkward about this. Hey, Jun, just how much were you looking forward to going on the Ferris wheel? I mean, it or any other ride isn't all really the same to you.
Not really. I've been looking forward to going on a Ferris wheel since I was a little kid.
Good. Guess I have no choice. I can't back away from this after he said this much. No, wait, why do I even care about it in the first place? I'm just a guy going on a ride with his friend who's also a guy. I mean, nothing weird about that. We're both guys, right? No, it still somehow doesn't sit right with me. I can't let him notice that I'm feeling a little uncomfortable about it.
Oh, hey, it's our turn to get on the Ferris wheel already.
Oh, right. I kept moving along with the line and didn't even notice we were the next ones. We step into the gondola, and gondola. Isn't a gondola the fucking boat they have on like in Venice? Like where they have the person with the fucking... Isn't that a gondola? I don't know, whatever. We step under the gondola apparently, and it shakes slightly upon receiving our weight. Luckily enough, the gondola, apparently, is quite spacious. June and I both sit on opposite ends of it. It's like, you stay over there! Arm's length! The walls have big glass windows to allow us to see outside without the risk of falling. Once the door closes, the Ferris wheel begins moving again, carrying us up. What? It's shaking! Our gondola is shaking! How the hell does he know what's called a gondola? June grabs onto the rails of the gondola, looking down at the floor. How many times is it going to say gondola? Looking down at the floor with a pale face. Don't worry, it's normal for it to shake. Just stay still on your seat and it won't shake as much. Okay. He sits upright in his seat, leaning back against the cushioned wall of the gondola and looking... It says gondola so many times. Looking at the window. Wow, the view up here from this gondola is amazing. I follow his gaze and look outside the gondola. Oh my god, is this the same fucking picture? No, it can't be the same exact picture, could it? It's just a picture of the same kind of stuff, but it just looks eerily similar to the picture in extracurricular activities. I think I have it in a thumbnail. It's just a picture of the same stuff. It's not the same picture. Oh my god. I think it is. It's the same picture. Oh, that's amazing. I mean, there's a picture effect on this, like there is in every picture. But yeah, that's the same picture. Holy shit. It's the same fucking picture as in extracurricular activities. Oh, that's amazing. Wow, you're right. It really is beautiful. I'm getting deja vu just looking at it. As we reach the highest point of the Ferris wheel, we are allowed to look down at the ground, seeing the parks and the parts of the town from a distance. As we reach the highest point of the Ferris wheel, we're allowed to look down at the ground, seeing all the park and parts of the town from a distance. With all the lights on in the night sky above, we see a giant array of colors painting the horizon. Some of the lights stay on all the time, others blink at long intervals, others twinkle rapidly. The show of lights and colors is captivating. If only the sky had more stars, then it would have been a perfect view. This is even better than I thought it'd be. From the corner of my eye, I see June pressing himself up against the window. It's a sight that warms the heart. I agree. I'm really glad you decided to take the Ferris wheel, June. Because to be honest, I hadn't even thought about it. Thanks. I'm just happy you didn't say no. Why would I say no? Not that I wasn't tempted to, I really thought this could end up being awkward. But after getting here with them, I see now that I was being ridiculous. There's nothing awkward about this. I don't know. We went on all these rides that you didn't really find all that fun. I was fully expecting you to say no at the end and go on a roller coaster or something of the sorts. I wouldn't just abandon you in the park. Guess I was just imagining things. The Ferris wheel continues to spin very slowly, shifting our view all the same. Every time it moves, we see a new light that we couldn't from another angle. Some lights fade away into the horizon, others become bigger and brighter. It's like watching a painting, one that is always moving and shifting, never really staying the same. People all look really small from the top. Yeah, this Ferris wheel is really tall after all. Don't you think it really puts things into perspective? What do you mean? Like from up here, everything looks so small. Can you imagine just how small their problems would be when we
how their problems would be when seen from a distance.
Are you trying to go with a cliched line about our problems are so small in the grand scheme of things?
Guess I'm not nearly as mysterious or philosophical as I think myself to be.
Despite this, he looks so happy right now. No, he looks happy all the time. Even if he's always worried about his own problems, he still manages to always look happy and cheerful. How do you do it?
Huh? Do what?
Jun's attention snaps back to me, making him stare at me in curiosity. You told me you were constantly struggling with everything around you, right? Like, your problems are always weighing you down in your mind? He nods, still looking a little confused. And yet you always have a smile on your face. It's hard for me to imagine you struggling with anything, because you always look so happy. Jun begins scratching his cheek, looking away awkwardly.
Well, it's just that I'm used to it. Compared to how things were before, this is really nothing. There was a time where things were really hard for me, but I found out that if I complained about it, all I did was make the people who care about me worry. They knew they couldn't do anything to help, but they didn't want me to see me hurting or struggling, so in the end, all I did was burden them even further. So I just decided to smile whenever I was feeling particularly sad. If I could at least keep everyone I care about from having to worry about me, then I wouldn't feel like such a burden. I guess after a while, I just got used to it. I still get sad, but I always try to smile. Because I don't want anyone to worry about me.
Even though Jun was smiling as he said this for the first time, I noticed, even if he was smiling, his face was strained. His mouth wasn't open as wide as usual, his eyebrows were furrowed, his eyes were creased. I never really stopped to pay attention to it. Has he been smiling like this for us, and I just didn't notice it? I don't want to see him make these kinds of expressions. I think the choice here is obvious. Hug him. I step up from my seat and walk over to Jun.
Rutherford,
and I wrap my arms around him, squeezing the tiger tight.
Oh, wow, Rutherford, son, what are you doing?
Sorry, Jun. I never really noticed.
That's fine, that was the point.
I shake my head sideways. If you really didn't want me to know, then why did you tell me?
'Cause you asked.
I shake my head again, more vigorously this time. That's a lie, isn't it? Jun makes a pitiful noise. Even without looking, I just know his cheeks must be red right now.
I thought that it'd be okay to open up to you. You're always doing so much for me, Rutherford, son. You're so kind and gentle to me, even though I'm basically a stranger. I'm sure that if I hadn't met you, I would have been able to summon up the confidence in myself to try the hardest. I'm sure if I hadn't met you, I wouldn't have been able to summon up the confidence in myself to try my hardest at the competition. I also know that if you weren't here, I would have never managed to make friends. I'd have stayed alone in my shell, keeping everyone at arm's length. I got used to it, but it gets really lonely at times. I was just tired of being alone. But after trying so hard to make everyone think I'm okay, I forgot how to rely on people. I just thought that it'd be okay for me to rely on you a little more. When you asked me about it, I thought you weren't the kind of person who'd judge me for it. No, not even that. I guess I just wanted to get it out of my chest for after so long. Even though he's laughing as he says those words, Jun's voice gets weaker with every word that comes out of his mouth. He's choking and trying hard not to sob. Jeez, what a crappy friend I am. I never even cared to see if it was really okay. Come to think of it, haven't I been like this for a long time? I've been pushing everyone away because I've been struggling with my own goals. I've been so absorbed with my own problems that I didn't care to see behind the masks.
Is Shoichi really okay with all the responsibilities he has to juggle in his life? Is Keisuke really doing well despite how much pressure his family puts on him? I never bothered to ask. Instead of paying attention to the people around me, I've just been retreating into my own little space, but not bothering to really listen. I really am the worst. Sorry, June. I promise I'll pay more attention from now on, okay? So please rely on me if you need any help. Yeah. It's a small tiger I'm cradling in my arms, nods meekly, pushing his face against my chest and finally wrapping his own arms around me. We stay like this until the ride is over. After leaving the park, we make our way home, quietly basking in the moonlight. The streets are fairly empty this time of night, with only a few people passing here and there. It's really surprising how quiet this area of the city becomes at night. A comfortable silence. Hey, Rutherford-san? I'm snapped back to reality, yelped the ghost gravity by the voice of the tiger walking next to me. Ah, yes?
You seem a bit out of it. Is everything okay?
Of course. Just lost a bit in thoughts right now. June looks me up and down, examining my expression. Feels like I'm being examined by a doctor. So invasive.
Well, I guess that's okay. Even I get lost in thought at times.
If by at times you mean all the time, then sure. What do you usually think about when you get lost in thought?
That's a bit of a weird question, isn't it?
Sorry. Just got a bit curious.
It's alright. Let's see. What do I usually think about? I think about what foods I want to eat when I get home, or what games I wish I was playing at the time, or about a song I want to hear. Oh, I also think about places I want to visit, and you and I are totally different breeds, aren't we? Whenever I get lost in thought, I always think about things that trouble me. Rutherford-san, you were spacing out again.
Sorry.
Don't you know how rude it is for how it's rude to people if you don't pay attention to what they're saying?
You're the last person I want to hear that from. I sigh, suddenly feeling very drained.
Are you sure you're okay?
Yeah, I just have a lot on my mind at the moment. Jun puts his hands behind his head, looking up at the sky.
Yeah, Shuichi-san told me you were having a hard time with tennis recently. That's what you're worried about, right?
Not really, but first of all, why would Shuichi tell you that I'm that in the first place?
He said something along the lines of if he says something that sounds really mean or condescending, don't mind it. He had a lot going on in his life at the moment to give him some space.
I'm gonna kill him. I swear I'm gonna kill that dog. Geez, all the people around me are being so considerate of my circumstances, and I never really noticed. I really am the worst.
By the way, Rutherford-san, do you mind if I ask another question about you guys?
Oh, sure, what is it?
Well, a few days ago, you told me about how you met Shuichi-san and Mizuguchi-san. What about Uruchihara-san, though?
Oh, well, I don't really have much of a past with Kei-kun as I do with the other two. As much of a past. I had played against him a few times back when I was in junior high, but we never really talked back then. First time we really interacted was when he joined the same school as I did. We were both members of the same tennis club and ended up getting to know each other. At first, he mostly talked to Saya and made friends with her, and then she introduced him to our group. It's funny when I think about it. I always thought that Keisuke fit right into our group, but in reality, he's always felt like an intruder. It wasn't until recently that all this changed. June walked alongside me, watching me intently as I talked. I can't imagine how a conversation like this can even be interesting for him in the first place. Could it be that he's just trying to get me to talk about something he thinks will make me feel better?
What happened that made him feel like part of the group?
We talked. Back when class had just started at the beginning of the month, Kei-kun and I had a serious talk about it. I told him it was crazy for him to feel like that and that he was already one of us. Oh, I did go out of my way after that to include him in everything we did. I didn't want him to feel so excluded.
That's very nice of you. I never really thought that Uruchihara-san and I were so similar in that regard.
Similar? Don't tell me you feel like you don't belong with us, too. Jun smiles, looking up at the sky again.
Sometimes I do. You're all so kind to me and always include me, but I sometimes feel like I mess up the group dynamic. Like I kind of feel like you guys just ask me to tag along to be polite. Of course, I know it's just all in my head, but I can't help but feel that way sometimes.
Jun has been so honest with me about his worries today. I never really imagined he felt all these things until today. I don't want you to feel like that. You're definitely a precious friend of ours.
What? Rutherford's son?
Sorry, I just said something really sappy all of a sudden, didn't I? The thing is, it's really scary how easily you fit into our group. It's like you belonged with us all along. But your easygoing personality always makes us feel really at ease. You're really good at easing the tension at times, and you're fun to hang out with. We wouldn't go out of our way to include someone if we didn't feel like that person worked well with us.
Yeah.
Eventually, we reached the front of my house. I was just following Jun around and didn't even notice where we were going. Wait, my house?
Yeah, I wanted to walk you to your house.
But I thought I was walking you to your house.
Nah, I can go the rest of the way to my own.
I'm not sure if I can agree with that.
Oh, come on, I'm fine. Plus, I'm actually the older one here, so it makes sense that I'd be the one dropping you off.
I still can't agree with that.
But no buts! Now listen to your senior and go home.
I just can't picture him as my senior, even if I knew that he is. Alright, jeez, no need to get so prickly. He looks like he's really having fun with this.
I'll see you at school on Monday. See you, Rutherford-san. Thanks for spending the day with me.
Of course, I had fun too. See you, Jun. Jun waves at me and walks off, turning on the next intersection and walking out of my sight. I walk into my house.
And now we skip to Thursday. Thursday, April the 27th.
Huh? Something is curious. Something is amiss. But what could it be? We'll find out on the next episode. My throat is dying. I can't go any further. So we're done. We're done. Thank you all very much for watching this episode of Tennis Ace. It has been a blast. But until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I have been the trained unprofessional, speaking for the voices in my head when I say, until next time, fare thee well. Bye, everyone.